From everything I've been told, yeah. Everybody else is healthy and good to go.
Coach, how do you start to prep for a team that lost its backcourt yesterday?
Well, I told our team this morning a story of when we were sitting in Indiana's locker room my second year, and we ended up trading basically 3 guys on the way to the game, anywhere between the time the bus got into the loading dock and 40 minutes on the clock. And I walked into the team at 35 minutes on the clock, and I was sitting there thinking, what do I say? Because 3 guys are on their phones trying to figure out where they're sleeping that night, where they're flying to. And I realized during the game that the other 8 guys were jacked to play more. And so, like, at the end of the day, we're going to get the very best shot from the guys that are available, because they get, you know, the guys that are gone, however many possessions those guys were using, somebody else gets to use. And so we have to be ready for that. We have to be ready to be hit with all those guys' best shots.
Kyrie just talked to us pretty extensively about his name being thrown around a lot of different numbers and things like that. Have you sat down with them at all to discuss, even not necessarily his future, but how he's handling this, or even how he's doing with it?
I mean, we've sat down and talked about, like, what we need to do to get better, how we can, you know, make sure that we're all trending in the right direction as far as a basketball team. But, you know, I don't sit there and talk much about, you know, futures or rumors or whatever the case may be. It's just all those things are going to be what they are, and it's always going to be out there, especially surrounding the great players in this league. So ultimately, I think our job is to try to coach this team and help this team become as good as it can be. And we've been trending in a good direction, so that's positive. And, you know, but I don't get into all that other stuff.
When he says asking on July 1st and essentially opens the door to speculation that's out there, does that have an effect within a club? You know, does that uncertainty have an effect within a club?
Well, I think it'd be wrong of me to comment on that, because I didn't hear what he said. You know, I didn't hear the context of what he said or his whole quote or whatever the case may be. So, but that shouldn't, you know, all of this, right, and all of the talk, we just have to focus on continuing to improve and being the best version we can of ourselves. Jalen's played great, and he's been great about coming off the bench. And, you know, he's a positive guy. You know, ultimately he, you know, had his struggles early in the year at times, but part of that's probably due to the expectation level of who he is. And I think he's just been great in the last couple of really weeks, and then most of the last couple of months. And so that obviously adds a lot to our team. I don't think a whole lot's changed. I mean, I think when the ball goes in the basket, everybody tends to feel a little bit better and write nicer things. And so ultimately, you know, he's made shots, but he's always had a good way about him, and he's always been an easy guy to coach and be around.
Coach, you've been through trade deadlines. What are the challenges of taking on a team that's really changed composition, and you haven't been able to see them play with a new group yet?
Yeah, we already talked about that earlier. I told a story about the first time we played in Indiana. There's 8 guys that are jacked up to play because there's a lot of possessions gone from their team tonight. So you're going to get the best shot of those 8, 9, 10 guys. So those are scary nights, because you're going to get what people are capable of. And all these guys are really capable.
Two nice players. Just tell them.
Yeah.
Shut me down.
Coach, with a win tonight, you could jump up to 3rd in the East after being mired at 5th kind of for a while, even though there's a lot of success there. How good would it feel to kind of climb up a little bit in the East?
I guess my answer would be I'm happy we're trending in the right direction, but it doesn't matter in January. You know, I think ultimately where we end up is where we end up, but there's a lot of games left. There's a lot of stretches left prior to that.
Just as a fan of the game, you see a guy like Porzingis get traded out of the conference. How does that kind of register for you? Surprised like that?
I don't think anything surprises me, but I think he's a really good player. I think everybody knows he's a really good player, and hopefully he gets back to full health and is able to be impactful. Thanks.
Thanks, bro.